Oh, come on! Let me have some part of the Night Below campaign! Watching heroes do heroic things gives me happy feelings!
No, no, and no. How many times do I have to say it? This is my show now.
I let you narrate some of the OSE games!
You didn't let me. You were lazy and it wasn't getting done. Someone had to step in. I never should have introduced you to Skyrim.
Huh, fine. Be a jerk.
These are the consequences of your own actions, wizard. Kids these days, am I right?
You stupid.
Hello, minions! We are back for some more Night Below goodness. Lots of stuff happens today. A lineup change, a significant death, and a big battle. Get a snack and get comfy. Roll the opener, imp. As always, the action is recreated using the Order of the Stick Monster for Every Season cutout minis. The players: Claude as Dub, Neutral Good Dwarven Thief, level 8. Ron as Valletta, Chaotic Good Human Cleric of Tymora, level 7. Les as Aneshk, Lawful Good Human Paladin, level 6. Dave as Lee, Lawful Good Human Monk, level 6. Sean as Octavius, Chaotic Good Human Ranger, level 5. Grant as Kindreth, Neutral Good Half-Elven Fighter Cleric of Lathander, level 4-4. Plus the Henchman. Boris, Lawful Good Human Ranger, Henchman to Aneshk, level 5. Tyranno, Lawful Good Human Magic User, Henchman to Aneshk, level 3. We pick up several days after the battle with the ghouls, where the group has been at Kuiper's farm recuperating and resting. Kuiper wakes them up suddenly with a horn blare and announces that they will be doing drills and training, as he has decided that their tactics and cooperation were a little sloppy. What follows is a semi-roleplay, semi-refresher from the DM to the players for combat options and procedures. The various options are gone through and practiced before the session returns to the regularly scheduled adventure. Training and drills complete, the team divides monetary loot from last session's haul, and plans to send various magical items to Arabelle with Daryl, Rotkill, and MacTavish for identification by a sage. Dave and Grant having opted to swap out and run their alternates, so Daryl and Rotkill are leaving, while our recent guest player Matt is also gone, so MacTavish withdraws. Before the Arabelle-bound wagon departs, Octavius has a thought, recalling that a cloak of Gaia was lost somewhere in Haranshire. He wonders if the cloak they found in the Temple of Gaia might be it. He decides to experiment with it before it's taken off for identification, and puts it on. At first it seems like something beneficial is happening, but this goes south really soon as Octavius immediately falls dead. A previously unseen tag appears on the cloak, Nessa's Shirt Company. A cloak of poisonousness. One of the classic Gygaxian gotcha treasures that players love to hate on. Oops. And yes, this cloak was one of the treasures recovered from the Temple of Gaia. Not all of them are gotchas, but it's fun to throw one in to remind players to make liberal use of augury before testing out random magic items they come across. As the stunned group processes this loss, a rider on horseback bearing the symbol of Tymora arrives, accompanied by 2 others. This is Brother Pari, one of Valletta's fellow clerics in the Church of Tymora, and he has most urgent and important news for Valletta. Lady Tymora herself has arrived in Arabelle and all priests are being summoned. Without hesitation, Valletta announces his departure as this is something he must do. So he joins the company that is departing for Arabelle. They wrap Octavius's body in a shroud and prepare him for the journey as well, reasoning that perhaps Valletta can beseech Tymora directly to restore his life. And with that, they depart. Of course, what follows is our usual contrived character entrance of Ron and Sean's alternate characters, those being the 2 figures who had accompanied Brother Pari, of course. Wizard, maybe I've been too harsh. Would you like to do the introduction of the contrived character entrance?
This'll be good.
Why, yes, I'd be happy to. Thank you. Hello, friends. It's good to be back here on the Night Below campaign. I'm pleased to introduce Ron as Callus, Chaotic Good Human Ranger, level 4. And Sean as Phallus. What?
Phallus?
Yes, It's an ancient elven name, derived from their admiration for long, tall trees.
So, you're saying that elves appreciate wood?
Yes, exactly. I don't know what you find so funny, but anyway.
Phallus! Chaotic Good, Elven Thief, Level 4. The team makes their next plan of action, and decides that despite the loss of the combat advantages Rotkill has against giants, they reckon that dispatching the giants of Shrike-and-Mire is now the priority. Aneshk offers up his former sword, Salazar's Bane, to the newcomer Phallus, a magic blade which grants +1 and +4 against reptiles. Comments are made at the table that Phallus now has a reptile dysfunction. Oh, come on, people, that's gold. Kuiper tells the team that he must report to Shiraz, but that his farm is theirs to use as they need for rest and recuperation, then departs. The team packs up and heads out shortly thereafter. It now being the month of Flame Rule, the summer is hot, and wearing armor while traveling in the blistering heat is impractical. Even unarmored and dressed for the weather, regular heat exhaustion checks are made, with some hit points lost to exhaustion using these splendid wilderness survival guide mechanics. After a day, they arrive at the Redwood, the site of the ghoul battle and the Temple of Gaia. Circumnavigating the Redwood would add a day or two, so they opt to travel through it. The trip is ultimately uneventful, however, and they arrive at Thurmaster after 2 days' total travel. At Thurmaster, they consult with Tauster the wizard and collect the scrolls of identification they had commissioned, as well as learning the nature of the 2 rings they'd left for him to identify. First, he inquires if the annoying half-elf Bink is among them, and is relieved to hear that he is not, as Bink has been pestering him to study and Tauster has told him to bugger off. Tauster has yet to start on identifying the enchanted longsword, but the rings were a priority. He shares with them that the ring used by the assassin that killed Dub was in fact a ring of invisibility, a magnificent find. The other is a ring of mammal control. After collecting the rings from Tauster, he then tells them to return in 20 days to give him enough time to examine the longsword. Discussing the rings, the team all agree that Phallus should use the ring of invisibility for now until they can decide on who gets it permanently, or if they wish to sell it. The group spends the night at the Hound and Tails, avoiding the less than savory mutton pie. The following day they inquire in town about the giants. Information is forthcoming from Baranas, the provisioner. He says that the last farm to be hit was the McKenney farm and offers directions. When asked about the giants and numbers, Baranas says that he's heard they are deformed, misshapen beasts, and that some reports say there are as many as 4 seen at one time. 2 are noticeably smaller, however, probably younger giants. Or perhaps females, it's hard to tell because they are so deformed. It's theorized that they might be Fomorians, but no one can confirm until they see them. After buying supplies, they head out towards the edge of the mire. Dub buys ample firewood with the intent of creating a bonfire to hopefully attract the giants with the smoke. The McKinney farm is a quarter day's journey. The weather has turned and it is now raining, but also hotter and more humid. More heat exhaustion checks are made, but the group is taking it easier. Arriving at the McKinney farm, they do indeed find that the farmstead has been smashed to bits, the house torn asunder. They estimate that the farm is about a mile from the edge of the mire. Dub and Lee set about using their carpentry skills to create a little shelter from the rain, but also give the illusion that the house is being restored, at least from the point of view of someone coming from the mire. The first day yields nothing, but they are able to get ample work done. Kindrith attempts to find wild mammals to test the ring on something other than their domesticated horses, but is unable to find any. The dice indicating no, not even field mice. On the second day, Lee pretends to be a farmer tending the land, while the others patrol the area, with an eye on the direction of the mire. Dub creates a bonfire to generate lots of smoke visible from a distance. Again, the DM checks. Nothing. On the third day, they repeat the same routine. Dub stoking a bonfire to generate smoke, Lee using a hoe to till the land, Phallus using the ring of invisibility to scout around. Boris comes sprinting in, announcing to the group that 2 giants are on the way. They have time, however, and the group armors up and readies for battle. Lee continues his task of hoeing the land, but has his loaded crossbow ready and keeps an eye to the south. Aneshk readies his warhorse and mounts with a heavy lance in hand. Phallus moves off to the side of the field, invisible, and readies his shortbow. The rest hide in the house with their missile fire ready to go. The giants stride forward, disgusting and misshapen as described, definitely Fomorians, identified by the knowledgeable dwarf and rangers. When the giants confidently stride in Lee's direction, the group launches their attack. Surprise is rolled for the giants, and the DM turns up a 4. The giants are not surprised by the main group, but are surprised by Phallus, who gains the increased rate of fire for the round with his bow. Phallus fires 4 shots during surprise, connecting with 1 hit. The others loose as well, and Aneshk charges in with his heavy lance, scoring a devastating blow of 26 damage off the Fomorian's 51 hit points. Heavy lance being 3d6 damage to large creatures and doubled for a charge. Most effective indeed. The DM also rules that the reach of the lance lets him discard and ride on without provoking a disengaging attack. The DM rolls morale, and the giants fail spectacularly, realizing they aren't dealing with weak farmers, but prepared warriors. The Fomorians turn and flee, but Aneshk is on horseback and Lee is a monk, so they are able to keep pace. Aneshk fires from the back of his horse using his composite bow, scoring hits as they flee. After a turn of pursuit, the Fomorians realize that they are unable to escape these opponents, so they turn and fight in desperation. The rest of the group is followed, but they are a bit behind. Battle begins. The first Fomorian chases Lee, but Lee has declared avoidance and keeps out of range, his immense speed easily outdistancing the lumbering giant. While that giant is distracted, Aneshk engages with the other, shooting again with his bow, but missing. The injured Fomorian charges forward and deals a strike to the warhorse. Aneshk switches to his sword for the next round. The rest of the team all declare that they will charge in to aid Aneshk while Lee uses his fleet feet to keep the other Fomorian distracted. The Fomorians gain the initiative, however, and with another brutal blow kills Aneshk's celestial steed, knocking Aneshk down and winding him for the round. The rest of the team charges in and strikes several massive blows, not the least of which is a lethal blow from Boris, wielding not only a giant-slaying blade, but also his ranger bonus, felling the Fomorian. Initiative for the new round is diced, and the Fomorian closes in on the group that felled her mate. Aneshk gets to his feet and joins. Tyranno blasts at range with a magic missile to soften it up. Now surrounding the giant, the team battles. Out of 6 targets, the giant turns and aims at Dub, this being a result of a randomized roll, but his extra bonus of -4 armor class against giants and Aneshk's protection from evil mean that the giant needs an 11 to hit him. A miss. The team attacks, scoring some hits and whittling the giant down. Phallus charges in from his position, scoring a solid strike. In the next round, Phallus declares his use of the Ring of Invisibility to disappear and withdraw. The rest of the team attacks, one by one scoring blows. The giant takes hit after hit. The DM rolls again to see where the giant's next attack will land. Once again, Dub is in the line of fire. As the DM prepares to roll the attack die, the giant instead falls to its knees and collapses dead before it can attack. The team having taken it to -61 hit points in that last volley of very solid strikes before its turn. The DM here is kind of cheeky, in case you hadn't noticed. As giants tend to carry bags of loot, the group finds almost 1,000 pounds of gold coin on them. They drag the money back to the farmstead. Aneshk buries his warhorse, knowing that by decree he cannot summon another celestial steed for 10 years. The team then returns to Thurmaster, where they will plan the next move. And the session concludes. What a wild and varied session indeed, minions. We start with a quick rules recap by the DM to the players, mixed in with a little RP for fun. A death by gotcha magic. A major story development for the priest whose patroness has arrived in person. Some contrived character entrances, and a massive battle with giants to cap it all off. Let's address the gotcha, as I'm sure there are some tender souls seething that a DM would dare use such a thing. No save, no resistance, just dead. Delicious. I love it. You see, minions, it's not like the DM forced his hand. The player had full control, and the cloak was already packed up to be shipped off for safe identification. But the player had an idea and wanted to test a theory. That sort of thing should be applauded, and I do. It just so happened that it went south, but the opposite could have easily been true. Some people are far too trepidatious for their own good. Also, they do have 2 clerics with them. Augury is your friend, minions. Spells aren't just for smiting opponents. And really, if the poisoned blood of Nessus can kill Heracles, what chance does a 5th-level ranger honestly have? The arrival of Lady Tymora and Arabelle is actually a canon event in the Time of Troubles. As the DM was looking over the details, he came across this tidbit. And since Valletta was a clerk of Tymora, it only made sense that he'd be summoned back. Ron then had a choice, and I was legitimately curious to see what he'd do. Does he ditch his friends to join his lady, or stay with them at personal cost? There was no wrong decision here, just a choice. He obviously followed his faith, and thus his backup character was introduced to continue with the current scenario. Though a special scenario looms in Arabelle with Timora and the Time of Troubles. Stay tuned for that, minions. As a splinter group from this campaign, we'll be diving into a side quest unrelated to the events in Haranshire. Isn't it marvelous how a campaign can grow when you just follow the threads? The Fomorians, however, are a printed scenario within the Night Below campaign module, though it's expected that the players would be around level 2 or 3 at most when they hear about them, and likely unable to fight the giants in straight combat. This group is obviously a little more powerful and thus capable of direct dealing. The module does offer up alternative solutions to straight-up combat for those of a lower level. Though, without spoiling anything quite yet, I'm not actually sure just how practical the major suggested alternative is. It seems to me to be just as dangerous, assuming a DM doesn't fudge, of course. But, as there are aspects that haven't been interacted with, I shall remain mum for now and discuss it in a later overview. And that wraps up this session of the Night Below campaign. Team Goodygood continues to make their mark, though they have been set back a little by recent events. The ghouls wiped out their fighting force of soldiers, and the Cloak of Nessus took from them Octavius the Ranger, though with Callus and Boris they are still solid on the Ranger front. New episodes loom, minions. Stay alert for my summons, and ta for now.